Hey, what's up guys? Bajheera here. For this video, I'm going to be sharing some Fury Warrior PvP with you guys, playing some 3v3 arenas as KFC, which stands for Kung Fu Cleave, which doesn't really mean anything, but mostly stands for Hunter, Warrior, Healer. Now KFC is one of my all-time favorite comps, and one of the comps that I have the most experience with, and even when it's not the absolute best, it's still one of my favorite ones to play. Now Kung Fu Cleave is known for its instant and chainable CC, compounded with tremendous burst damage. So what you're going to see here is I'm going to open up with a big fear on the entire enemy team while popping cooldowns to the mage pretty much as soon as I can see this guy. Now right as my fear is ending, my hunter is going to trap the druid, which is going to force an ice block out of the enemy team's mage. But our opening CC chain isn't done yet. As my hunter's trap is fading, I'm going to hit the druid once again with a focused Stormbolt, continuing the incredible damage we've got on this mage, and these guys really never had a chance to get their setup going. So as you can see, one of the most important things with KFC is starting off strong. So I got a fear pretty much right off the bat, which started our CC chain, and I was able to pop cooldowns and make really good use of them right off the bat, which put the enemy team behind for the whole game. We never let them recover, and ended up scoring a kill as a result of it. So this is going to be a game against the Turbo Cleave, which is Enhancement Shaman Warrior. Now this is a tricky move right here. I'm going to Trinket the Bash and reflect the Cyclone there. Definitely kind of a sketchy maneuver. It paid off that time, with the druid actually going through with the clone, and I'm going to go ahead and stun him out of the clone reflect. Now, we're going to try to get some really good damage on the shaman since my hunter is able to land a full trap on the druid. So once again, the druid's been in CC for most of the match. He's been cycloned and stunned and then trapped. Now the enemy team shaman does an excellent job using Tremor Totem on my hunter's Wyvern Sting, but me being the noob that I am, I don't kill the Tremor Totem before going for the fear. So I end up wasting my fear there, getting shockwaved, and then getting cycloned out of that for my noob maneuver. So that's definitely one thing to keep in mind as a warrior. If you're looking to fear soon, you know, make sure that you're trying to kill Tremor Totems. You don't want to fear into a Tremor Totem, but one of the things you can do is move towards the enemy healer. If they're a shaman or if there's a shaman on the team, sometimes they'll drop a Tremor Totem preemptively, anticipating your fear, at which point you can just hold on to your fear, kill the Tremor Totem, and then land the full fear after. So that would have been a better move for me, to kill the Tremor Totem and then go for the fear. Another thing to keep in mind when there are shamans on the team, shamans are a tremendous support class, and killing their totems is a big help to your team, especially when they're grounding totems or Tremor Totems. Those are the ones that can prevent CC on the enemy team or break CC on the enemy team. For example, my hunter, if he tries to go for a trap and there's a grounding totem down, his trap can get grounded, which makes it not do anything. Same thing with Tremor. If a Tremor Totem is down and the enemy team's healer is either wyverned or feared, the Tremor Totem will break those effects. So one of the things you want to do is obviously kill the totems if they're down, but the main thing is cross CC. So when we're going for our most powerful CC setups, I'm going to Stormbolt the enemy team's druid, while our team's Holy Paladin uses their Fist of Justice on the enemy team's shaman. So the druid can't dispel the Fist of Justice since he's in a Stormbolt, and the shaman can't drop a Tremor or grounding totem to prevent CC on his druid. Situations like that are when you want to pop your most powerful offensive cooldowns. That's one of the reasons I enjoy the KFC comp so much, is because you get to really work together with your team, coordinate CC, and all pop cooldowns at the exact same time, unleashing some tremendous burst. So there's the Stormbolt on the druid and the Hodge on the shaman like we talked about before, at which point we're all going to unload just about as much damage as we've got. Since the shaman doesn't have a Tremor Totem for the Wyvern Sting, that's going to sit full. He does drop down a grounding totem to try to prevent the trap coming out of the Wyvern Sting. However, he's already dead at that point. I go ahead and land the cheeky fear, even though the shaman's already dead, and we land a trap out of that. So we had a little bit more CC for that druid, even if the shaman hadn't died. But we went ahead and poured all our damage after a really quality Hodge, Stormbolt, Wyvern Sting setup, and that allowed us to take down the enemy team's Enhancement Shaman. Our next match is going to be up against God Comp, a very powerful caster cleave, known for their setup and burst combos. However, we are getting the best of them right out the gate, getting this mage to ice block, and we're getting the enemy team's Resto Druid's Trinket out of the Wyvern Sting. So if you'll notice, our setup looks very similar to what we did against the Enhancement Shaman team. We're using our Stormbolts on the enemy team's Druid, and we're using our Hodges on the enemy team's support class, which is the Shadow Priest. Now, the Shadow Priest can off-heal and provide off-shielding, but the main reason we're using our Fist of Justice on him is so that he can't Mass Dispel our traps. And right as his mage friend dies, you're going to see him going for the Mass Dispel there. It does land, but it's a little too late. Once again, this is a KFC match where our CC chain and opening burst damage set this team way too far behind for them to hope to recover, as long as we kept the pressure on, which we did, eventually taking that mage down. I'd like to talk more about the God comp setup in the future, because recognizing what they're trying to do is going to be key to you defeating them in the arena. So, what these guys are going to do is not very complicated. Once you see a Ret and a DK, you know that these guys are about to train your healer really hard. So, our objective, once again, is to just get aggressive on these guys right out of the gate, try to put them as far behind as we can, just like we've been doing against these other teams, and hope for the best as they relentlessly tunnel our healer. So, our initial setup got trinkets out of both the enemy team's Wrestler Druid and the Ret Paladin, as well as getting a Hand of Sacrifice out of the Ret Paladin. Luckily for us, the Ret Paladin doesn't use their bubble ability and just goes down in some surprising bursts from us. Now, that could definitely be a sketchy situation, as our Paladin, I'm sure, was burning through their cooldowns as well. But it's an excellent example, once again, of how potent your CC combinations can be, forcing defensives and trinkets out of the enemy team. As you wear through the enemy team's defensive cooldowns and trinkets, it's going to make your CC and burst setups that much more effective later on down the line. Alright, so this next matchup is going to be against Frost Mage, Holy Paladin, and Destruction Warlock. Right off the bat, I'm just going to run right into their team, not charge or anything, and just land an Opening Fear on the enemy team's Holy Paladin, which my Hunter is going to follow up with a Wyvern Sting, and then a Trap out of that. Meanwhile, we're pouring all of our damage in the enemy team's Warlock, and right as the Paladin thinks he's going to have a chance to cast the spell, I'm going to hit him with a Stormbolt. He's still holding on to Trinket and Bubble and everything he's got. Unfortunately, that conservative playstyle ends up costing his Warlock his life. It's true that we were pretty much out of CC at that point. However, we were also popping incredible damage right off the bat. And I think if the Paladin had used a little bit of cooldowns, it would have extended the game. But it's a good example of the damage in CC of KFC isn't just a threat. It's not like, okay, if I don't use cooldowns, we're going to be fine. No, if you don't use cooldowns, you're going to get chopped. So when you see our damage and cooldowns forcing enemy team's trinkets and defensive abilities, it's for a good reason. So this next match was kind of, I remember this one, it was kind of a sloppy match if you ask me. It was real close, but I believed in the win. This is up against a Holy Paladin God comp, which is a little bit more difficult, I feel, than a Resto Druid God comp, just because they have a little bit more defensive capabilities, but also their setup is a little bit more powerful as well. What Holy Paladin God comp is known for is their ability to CC multiple targets for a long time and deal incredible damage during that CC window. Against God comp, what you need to look out for is 1, the Deep Sheep combo on your healer. So what you'll look out for is when a mage either blazing speed or blinks at your healer while they're in a deep freeze, they're probably going to be looking for either a polymorph or a Ring of Frost out of that. And you need to do your absolute best to stop that polymorph, or else they're going to be in CC through a deep freeze, a polymorph, and then the priest is going to sprint at them and fear, probably leading to more polymorphs out of that. So that is just an incredible amount of CC. The problematic aspect of this is that's the CC they have for your healer. They also have a CC combination for who they want to kill. The kill CC combination is going to be a Hodge and a Horrify effect, and they could Horrify first. The Shadow Priest could use their Horrify effect first, leading into a Hodge, or it's Hodge into Horrify. Either way, that is a solid amount of CC that you're going to be sitting in pretty much powerless unless you're going to Trinket or use defensive cooldowns. And chances are you'll need to, because if the God comp's playing correctly, they'll do those combinations at the same time. They'll put your healer into a Deep Sheep, Fear Sheep, while you're Hodge Horrified or Horrified Hodged. So, it really leaves the entire responsibility for stopping the CC chain up to the one member of your team that's not CC'd, hoping they don't get feared or something, or Nova'd, because during that CC chain that I was just talking about, they're also going to pop all their cooldowns and deal tons of damage into the Hodge Horrified target. So, their setup is very scary, but if you can disrupt that and put them on their back foot, it's going to be hard for them to land that combination that they need, and their damage that they deal, even though it's impressive, won't really have the same potency that it needs in order to force defensive cooldowns or trinkets out of your team. Hopefully. I mean, it's still a mage and a Shadow Priest, so best of luck. Alright, back to the actual gameplay. Right now, we're seeing my Hunter at about 50k HP. We're having a rough time against these guys, because like I said, it is pretty sloppy. We're trying to stop as many polymorphs as we can. We're trying to stop their CC while unloading our own CC combination. So right now, I'm going to land a Stormbolt on the enemy team's Holy Paladin, and the mage is going to immediately blazing speed over to his Holy Paladin in hopes of trying to eat a trap. However, my Hunter is just going to Wyvern Sting. The enemy team's Paladin does use Hand of Sacrifice on the Wyvern Sting, which will usually cause it to break on damage to the mage. So my team's Holy Paladin uses his Hammer of Justice ability, and then we're able to trap the enemy team's Holy Paladin shortly after the Hodge ends, which even though the enemy team's Holy Paladin is out of CC at the moment, the disruption to his healing rotation is enough, combined with our damage, to score a kill on the mage. So that game was pretty tough, a little sloppy, but I hope the breakdown of the God comp setup is a little bit helpful to you guys, because I know it can be a tough team to face. Alright dudes, that is going to bring us to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed this arena commentary. More than happy to make more for you guys in the future. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to leave it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel to see more. Once again guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. Peace!